Today we're doing part 3 of our homemade 3D printed terracotta warrior. So in the first 2 episodes, we started to 3D print some smaller pieces, which we then began to put together using our 3D printed pen. And then we weighed it and then brought it back downstairs to begin the covering process, which means we're going to put some just basic gauze and some extra lightweight joint compound, and let's see how that went. Okay, so this is what the parts look like after an overnight printing run, and it's okay if they're not perfect because they will be put together and strengthened with the 3D pen after this careful takedown. And with the help of my trusted helper, we begin to put together and reinforce the second layer of parts to be added on to the feet there that we see on the right. Okay, so this is starting to look pretty good. We did our second round of printing, and now I just kind of tack welded it with the 3D printing pen. And I'm going to continue to reinforce it, but you can start to tell that this is a pretty quick process. This is only 2 printing runs, so this could be done in a day. And then it takes a few hours to maybe reinforce and put together, but this is taking shape well. This is the 3D printing, wire printing technique, and it's, I think, really new, and I'll continue to make these videos because not many people know about it yet, and I think it looks pretty good. So back to our Fusion 360 3D modeling program, which is free to download. I like to cut our model by hand to maximize the space and the time used on the 3D printers. So for example, here I'll measure so that we get 3 pieces across, but if we did this automatically, it might give us 4 or 5. And here we can tell how that might be the biggest piece ever produced, where it's just maximizing the space on the 3D printer to have the least amount of pieces. So I like to do that part by hand. Once again, with the help of my trusty helper, we're gonna tack together and reinforce the rest of the pieces using our 3D pen. I was interested to know how much the statue weighs so far, because if I divide it by how much the printing filament costs, then I know exactly how much it costs to produce so far. So we take my initial weight and then the weight with the statue, and then subtract my weight, and we get about 4.4 pounds. And at about $70 per kilogram, which is 2.2 pounds, that's 2 spools for a grand total of about $35 in filament for the statue so far. Next, we carefully lay down the statue with some pillows underneath. When we start adding material to it, it's going to weigh down, so we want to make sure we don't distort the overall structure by putting pillows underneath. and we start putting down some basic first aid gauze, which is very inexpensive. This will help tighten the holes that are left from the 3D printing and make the joint compound that we're going to add not flow through the statue. Once again, this is a step that's very inexpensive but time consuming. I've learned that it's easier to pre-mix a bunch of the lightweight joint compound in a bin like this, and when it is covered and sealed, it can last a long time, so I don't have to re-mix a new batch each time. Just have to kind of like stir it with some dollar store containers to pour onto our statue with the gauze, and then with a disposable paintbrush to just kind of like spread it around. After the first coat is dried, we can begin to think about our second layer. So this was done in the summertime, as you can see, which was many months ago. This would not be so good in the winter when it would take a lot longer for the joint compound to dry in the freezing cold. Well, I hope you enjoy watching these videos as much as I like making them. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe. So what have we learned this week? This week we put together more of those 3D printed parts into a bigger guy and also covered it with gauze and lightweight joint compound material. And so far this thing weighs maybe like 10-15 pounds and only cost like $30-40 in material. So this is very doable. Once you have the overhead of the printers and a couple of spools of material, you can really have a lot of fun with this. And join me next time when we're gonna put a head on this guy. I produced these using a molding technique in this video, and maybe we'll cut a hole in here and see how this head, what do you think, how this head looks? So please join me next time on Dave's Post-Apocalyptic World.